Royal routines don't often leave room for surprise, especially when every move is watched. But during one recent appearance, something happened that no one expected. All attention shifted to Prince Louis. And within seconds, the tone of the entire event changed. Even the king seemed caught off guard. It wasn't dramatic, yet it carried weight far beyond his age and left an impression that couldn't be ignored. At just 7 years old, in a moment that caught everyone's attention, Prince Louis did what few could have predicted. Everyone noticed as he bowed his head deliberately and respectfully. What struck people most wasn't just the gesture, but how natural it seemed coming from him. Even King Charles paused. For a child known mostly for mischief and charm, it was a reminder that Prince Louis carries a title rooted in royal law, family legacy, and careful planning. When he was born on April 23, 2018, his full title was announced as His Royal Highness Prince Louis of Cambridge, which came directly from his father's title at the time, Duke of Cambridge. But Louis didn't get this title by chance. Under old royal rules, he wouldn't have been granted the title of prince at all. The original rule goes back to 1917, when King George V decided to limit the use of royal titles. He issued a formal rule known as letters patent, which allowed only the children and male-line grandchildren of a monarch to use the style His or Her Royal Highness. In other words, great-grandchildren like Prince Louis wouldn't qualify unless they were directly in line for the throne. That changed in 2012 when Queen Elizabeth II issued her own letters patent. She specifically declared that all the children of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales, meaning all of Prince William's children, would be princes or princesses no matter where they were in the line of succession. Without that decision, Louis would have been Master Louis Cambridge, not a prince. His name was also carefully chosen. His full name is Louis Arthur Charles. Each part has meaning. Louis is believed to honor Lord Louis Mountbatten, the beloved uncle of Prince Philip and a key figure in the royal family, especially to Prince Charles, who was very close to him. Arthur appears in the middle names of both Prince William and King Charles, and it's a traditional name tied to British royal history. And Charles is an obvious nod to his grandfather, the current king. Titles like his help determine everything from public rank to how he'll be treated on royal visits, in the press, and behind palace doors. The title gives him a place in the family's working structure. It affects how he'll be presented at events, where he'll sit, and even how he'll be addressed at school or abroad. Looking ahead, people often wonder what new title Prince Louis might carry as he grows older. The Duke of Edinburgh is one possibility. The title was originally given to Prince Philip in 1947. After his death in 2021, it was passed to Prince Edward in 2023, but only as a lifetime appointment. That means when Edward passes away, the title will return to the crown, at which point the monarch could reassign it to a younger royal. And Louis would be a fitting choice given the connection to Philip and the symbolic weight of the title. Another possible title is Duke of York, which has traditionally gone to the second son of the monarch. However, that title is currently held by Prince Andrew and it may not be reissued due to the public controversy surrounding him. If not that, Louis could be given an entirely new dukedom chosen by the reigning monarch when the time comes. What we know is that Prince Louis's title is the start of a life already shaped by law, lineage, and royal strategy. When King Charles gave the Duke of Edinburgh title to his youngest brother Prince Edward, many believed it was only temporary, not because Edward didn't deserve it, but because the title itself has always held more than personal meaning. The story of the title goes all the way back to 1726. King George I gave it to his grandson Prince Frederick as a way to mark him out from his many siblings. Since then, it's only been handed out a few times, and every time it appears, it's tied to someone the monarch believes can carry weight publicly and privately. But it's Prince Philip who made it unforgettable. After marrying Princess Elizabeth in 1947, he became the Duke of Edinburgh, and he didn't just carry the title, he gave it real value. Through the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme, he changed thousands of lives. Young people from over 130 countries took part, many of them going on to lead in business, government, or community work. He pushed science, stood for discipline, and championed causes like conservation and climate awareness long before they were popular. When Edward stepped in following Philip's death, it felt earned. Edward and his wife Sophie had already spent years talking on many of Philip's roles. But unlike in the past, the title won't automatically pass to Edward's son James. Once Edward dies, the title will go back to the crown. And that's where things get interesting for Prince Louis. He is just 7 years old, but his path is already being shaped. He won't be next in line, but he will grow up in the public eye. His future will have to carry meaning, and a title like Duke of Edinburgh could give that meaning real weight, just like it did for Philip and just like it's doing for Edward now. Prince Louis may be young, but he's part of something far bigger than most people realize. His story stretches across royal traditions, global history, and a very modern shift in what it means to be royal today. He was born into the House of Windsor, the royal house officially created by King George V in 1917. At the time, Britain was at war with Germany, and George V didn't want the royal family to keep its original German name, Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. So he changed it. Windsor sounded more English and more relatable. Since then, every monarch from George V to King Charles III has kept the name, and it's become a symbol of stability. Through war, loss, scandal, and progress, the House of Windsor has held the monarchy together. Prince Louis's connection to the Windsor line runs through his father, Prince William. As the firstborn son of King Charles III and Princess Diana, William is both heir and symbol of the next generation. Through Diana, Louis is linked to the Spencer family, known for their independence and strong sense of justice. Diana herself was often seen as the heart of the royal family during her time, and that warmth didn't disappear with her. It lives on in William and now in Louis. Then there's his mother Catherine. Before she became Princess of Wales, she was simply Kate Middleton. Her family didn't hold titles or estates. They ran a small Byzantine SS, went to local schools, and lived like millions of other British families. But what Catherine brought into the royal family wasn't just normality. It was balance. She carries herself with calm, speaks plainly, and shows affection openly. Her influence is easy to see in all three of her children, especially Louis. They don't act stiff or rehearsed in public. They act like kids, loved, safe, and curious. Their home is unique. Prince George, the eldest, carries the weight of his future. He's serious, focused, and already learning what it means to lead. Princess Charlotte stands between her brothers, but often acts like she's in charge. She's confident, steady, and quick to step in when Louis starts pushing boundaries. And Louis is the wild card. The one who dances during royal events, pulls faces during parades, and makes people laugh when they least expect it. But don't mistake that for a lack of awareness. Louis knows his place, and he knows he's loved. He's not being raised in the shadow of his brother, but alongside him with a role that's being shaped for something different. Prince Louis's title was decided through a series of royal decisions shaped by politics, war, and changing times. The laws around succession were also changing to allow daughters to have equal rights to the throne, and it made sense that the titles should follow the same logic. So Louis, born third, still became Prince Louis of Cambridge at birth. But the story doesn't end there. Now that King Charles is on the throne, he's been open about wanting a smaller, more focused royal family, a slimmed-down monarchy as it's often called. He's reduced public-facing roles and left some titles ungranted or delayed. That means future decisions like whether Louis's children will get royal titles aren't guaranteed. Everything depends on how the monarchy evolves and what Charles and William decide is necessary in the years to come. At the Platinum Jubilee in 2022, Prince Louis became an unexpected breakout star from the moment he waved from the Buckingham Palace balcony with his hands over his ears. All eyes were supposed to be on the Queen's final big celebration. But it was Louis wiggling in his seat, pulling faces, and pretending to drum along with the music who stole the show. In a sea of formal uniforms and carefully staged appearances, his unfiltered reactions were something different. Photos of Louis instantly went viral. Social media turned him into a meme, not in a mocking way, but in a way that felt affectionate. People related to him. It was as if for a moment the monarchy seemed just like any other family trying to keep a restless child entertained during a long public event. Catherine's response mattered just as much. Rather than reacting with frustration, she leaned in close, gently talked him through the moment, and stayed calm. She didn't scold. She didn't try to hide it. Her parenting in public made headlines of its own. Viewers praised her for being patient and warm, but also firm when needed. It wasn't just Louis that stood out. It was the way his mother let him be himself while keeping him grounded. Other appearances followed. At the traditional Christmas walkabout at Sandringham, Louis was seen shaking hands, smiling, and showing a more polite and composed side. At King Charles's coronation events, he looked focused and even a little serious, walking with his family like he understood the importance of the day. It didn't mean he lost his energy. He's still the most expressive of the three siblings. But it showed that he was learning how to balance playfulness with duty. Lewis's personality continues to shine through. Those who've met him describe him as lively and full of spirit. There's something about the sparkle in his eye that reminds older royal watchers of a young Princess Diana. Charming, spontaneous, and unpredictable in a way that makes people feel drawn in. And it's having an effect. Lewis helps modernize the royal family in a way no announcement or interview could. People who might normally ignore royal events now tune in just to see what he'll do. He bridges a gap between centuries of tradition and today's craving for authenticity. In a family often known for formality, he's unscripted. When it comes to raising their children, Prince William and Catherine are writing a new kind of royal parenting playbook grounded in emotional openness, structure, and a commitment to giving their kids as normal a childhood as possible. One of the clearest shifts they've made is how openly they approach emotional well-being. William and Kate have both been vocal about the importance of mental health in our own home. They've encouraged conversations around feelings, loss, and vulnerability. It's said that their household is one where emotions aren't hidden or dismissed. If something is bothering one of the children, especially someone as expressive as Prince Louis, they talk it through rather than brushing it aside. This kind of emotional accessibility is a far cry from the stiff upper lip tradition that once defined royal parenting. Alongside that emotional warmth, though, there are also clear routines and boundaries. The Wales household isn't a free-for-all. Bedtimes are respected, screen time is limited, and responsibilities like schoolwork are taken seriously. Louis might be the most energetic of the bunch, but even he follows the structure his parents have laid out. Friends of the family have noted that there's a strong sense of balance. Affection is freely given, but discipline is not neglected. In moments when Louis has acted out in public, we've seen Kate redirect him gently but firmly. Part of that structure includes a strong focus on the outdoors. The children are often spotted playing sports, helping in the garden, or going on countryside walks. William and Kate believe in the value of being outside as a way to teach their kids resilience, calm, and appreciation for simple things. It's an approach that echoes Kate's own upbringing and fits with her long-standing interest in early childhood development. What stands out most is how involved William and Kate are in the daily lives of their children. Despite their royal duties, they make time to drop off and pick up their kids from school. At school events, they're known to show up as regular parents, not waving in formal attire but blending in. Teachers and other parents have often commented that there's a noticeable effort to let George, Charlotte, and Louis experience life without being overwhelmed by royal protocol. All of this ties into their careful strategy when it comes to media exposure. While official photographs are released from time to time, often taken by Kate herself, the couple is fiercely protective of their children's privacy. It's a balance between sharing enough to satisfy public interest and shielding their children from the pressures that come with royal life. Royal parenting hasn't always looked like what we see from Prince William and Catherine today. Queen Victoria set a tone of emotional distance that would echo through several generations. She was known for being cold toward her 9 children. Letters and records describe her as stern, formal, and detached, especially with her sons. For her, children were to be obedient, presentable, and mostly out of the way. The idea of playing on the floor or having heartfelt chats simply didn't exist. When George VI came along, there were small shifts, but the general tone remained formal. George VI and his wife Elizabeth, later the Queen Mother, were warmer than Victoria but still quite traditional. They were not overly involved in their daughters' daily lives. Queen Elizabeth II, when she became a young mother, followed that same path. During her reign, she traveled abroad extensively and often left her children Charles, and Andrew, and Edward for weeks or months at a time. Her role as monarch always came first, and emotional closeness wasn't considered necessary or even proper. For Prince Charles, this distance had a deep impact. His childhood was marked by isolation and pressure. He was sent to Gordonstown, a boarding school known for its extreme discipline and cold environment. He has spoken at times of how emotionally starved he felt growing up. The royal expectations around him were rigid and there was little space for emotional expression or vulnerability. Then came Diana. Princess Diana broke nearly every mold of royal parenting. She hugged her boys in public, kissed them at events, and knelt down to speak to them at eye level. She took William and Harry on official tours, something royal mothers are not known to do. She also made sure they had a glimpse of normal life, enrolling them in regular schools, taking them to fast food restaurants, and exposing them to charities and communities far removed from palace walls. Her warmth, openness, and instinct to protect her sons from the emotional vacuum she'd endured helped shift how the public saw royal parenting. It also redefined expectations for future royal mothers. William took all of that in. He watched his father struggle with emotional expression and saw how his mother tried to change the story. Now, as a parent himself, he seems determined to do better. He blends the steadiness expected of a future king with the emotional warmth Diana modeled. He talks about mental health, speaks gently to his children in public, and clearly prioritizes being present in their lives. For William, parenting is a daily choice. And that's something previous generations couldn't always say. Today, things look very different. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis are often seen in more relaxed settings. We've watched them play, squabble like siblings do, giggle at public events, and even wave confidently to the crowd. These moments are part of a new pattern where warmth and relatability matter just as much as protocol. The old standard said duty above all else, and royal children were raised to serve with their personalities often coming second to their titles. But William and Kate have rewritten that script. Their children are still being prepared for responsibility, especially George, but they're also being encouraged to grow into themselves, to understand their place in the world without being overwhelmed by it. The public has noticed. In the past, royals were often seen as distant figures towering behind palace gates, but now the growing affection toward the Wales family has a lot to do with their visibility and humanity. William and Kate haven't given up tradition, but they've softened its edges. That balance of grace and openness has reshaped the monarchy's reputation, especially among younger generations. Prince George will one day wear the crown, but he's being raised to understand not just how to lead but how to listen. He's being groomed as a modern monarch, compassionate, emotionally present, and aware of the world beyond palace walls. Charlotte and Louis, meanwhile, are growing up in an environment that allows them to be seen as more than just royal backups. As Prince Louis grows, so does the story of a royal family that feels more connected than ever before. His playful moments, cheeky grins, and genuine bond with his siblings remind people that even inside palace walls, there is laughter, learning, and love. And maybe that's what makes this chapter of the royal family worth watching.